"Next," called the officer. A squat, mostly hairless biped approached the counter. It hefted a bag onto the countertop. "Do you have any produce or food products?" "No," said the biped. "Any animals or controlled substances?" The officer went through the list by memory, having asked it hundreds of times a cycle for the last 10 annums. "None that I know of," came the response. "Did you pack your bag, and has it been in your possession the whole time since you packed it?" "Yeah, well, my wife put some socks and stuff in, but I saw her do it. Does that count?" "That's fine. Do you have any object, substance, or material known to the GLQ to cause harm to any member species?" "Don't think so," the biped said. The officer spun the bag around so he could access the closure. "Planet of origin?" He placed his hand on the button. "Earth." The officer snatched his hand away from the bag. His skin turned a slightly green color. "Human?" Yes," the biped replied, somewhat confused. The officer reached over and picked up a comm device. He pressed a quick dial key and held the device up to speak into it, turning away from the human on the other side of the counter. "Sir, one of them is here." "No, sir, I stopped before I opened it. He says no." Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir." The officer deactivated the device and turned back to the human. "Sir, you need to go with these officers here." As he spoke, 2 large gorilla Nokoros-looking guards stopped up behind the man. He looked confused. "This way, sir," one of them said, pointing towards the door in the wall some distance away. "Leave the bag." The man turned to go, but before he walked away, he saw his original customs officer spraying down his hands, the counter, the comm device, and the man's bag with some sort of mister. An alien in a full biocontainment suit was slowly lifting every item out of the man's bag. Each item was placed under the scope of some sort of scanner, which would hum for a moment and then ding. The item was then placed on a plastic tote. The man sat as each garment was processed. The last thing the alien pulled from the suitcase was a small toiletries kit. The man said, "It's just like toothpaste and soap and stuff. It's nothing dangerous." The biocontained officer slowly opened the bag and began to lay out items, one after another. A clear green bar of soap, a tube of toothpaste, a small bottle of shampoo, and a stick of deodorant. A toothbrush and an electric razor were the last items placed on the table, and the first to go into the scanner. Each was followed by a ding. Next, the deodorant was tested. Another ding. The toothpaste was tested. This time there was a loud buzz. After a moment, the officer in the containment suit placed the whole tube into a plastic jar and sealed it. The bar of soap met the same fate, being sealed in another separate jar. Finally, the shampoo was tested. The scanner hummed for what seemed like an eternity, and finally, a bell started ringing. The man looked around, confused. The officer pulled a pair of tongs from somewhere, grabbed the shampoo and put it in another jar. Then the jar was placed in a clear bag, which was sealed, and then finally the bag was placed in a metal case, which was again sealed. The officer went to a corner of the room and reached out to pull a ring hanging near the ceiling. A bluish liquid showered down on the biocontainment suit. After several minutes, the officer walked out of the room, taking the specimen jars and case with him. Moments later, another customs officer came in. This one was human. She was smiling. The man looked at her for a moment and then said, "Am I in trouble?" "Probably not. Most of the time these are just run-of-the-mill accidental breaches. As long as your shampoo is really shampoo, you'll be fine." She sat opposite the man, and leaned forward onto the small table where the tote with his belongings was. "Turns out things like glycerin and fluoride are on the special access list, meaning you need a permit. Some of the stuff in shampoo is considered, well, it's not allowed. Highly toxic to about 85% of the flora and fauna of non-Earth planets. As long as it isn't just straight toxins, you'll get charged a shipping fee to send it back to Earth. It's technically a controlled substance in the rest of the galaxy. Most humans who go out of system for the first time don't know." "I was just trying to go see my old Navy buddy. I didn't mean to cause problems," the man said, clearly nervous and apologetic. "It's fine. That's why we have these protocols in place. That aside..." The officer pulled a sheet of paper out of her uniform pocket. "Here's a list of suitable alternatives you can find on most GLQ planets to replace the items we confiscated." "I really am sorry about this," the man said, glancing over the list. "No worries. Just be glad you didn't bring any food with you. We had a chef come through once with a whole case of herbs and spices. He dropped a jar of thyme. We had to close the whole terminal until it was decontaminated." The officer stood up and turned to go. "Enjoy your trip,"